okay, now I did this. I'm gonna do a second take on this because you know what, I wanna do this a little different. So Bob Boughner loses his job today, and I thought, you know what, I'm gonna look back. Um, we are going in the Wayback Machine to June 8th, 1995. The Florida Panthers Thursday fired Roger Neilson, the first head coach in the NHL team's 2-year history. Neilson had 1 year remaining on his coaching contract and an additional year on a personal services contract. Neilson compiled a 53, 56, and 23 record with the Panthers in their inaugural 93-94 campaign. The Panthers won a surprising 33, 34, and 17 and were eliminated from playoff contention in the final week of the season. I want to emphasize that Roger Neilson is not being released because of his past performances for the Florida Panthers. General Manager Brian Murray said Roger's record with the Panthers was a good one, and he has helped establish a solid foundation for the franchise. However, we have decided that a look toward the future of the franchise is crucial at this time. To make the progress we want for the long-term good of the Panthers, we feel changes have to be made. Roger Neilson's coached the New York Rangers, Toronto Maple Leafs, Vancouver Canucks, Buffalo Sabres in his 14-year coaching career. And you know, it's an interesting story because they've gone through 15 coaches. We made a tough decision today and have relieved Bob Boughner of his duties as head coach, General Manager Dale Talon said. We didn't meet expectations this season and share responsibility for this fact. After careful evaluation, we've determined that it is a necessary first step for our young team, and we will seek to identify a transformative, experienced head coach with Stanley Cup pedigree to lead our team going forward. We're grateful to Bob. Paul, assistant coach Paul McFarland, was also fired, and their families for their hard work and their dedication to the Panthers organization, and we wish them the best of luck in their future endeavors. Future endeavors is a line used by wrestling when wrestling releases wrestlers. To the point that it's famous enough that online we just say, has so-and-so been future endeavored yet? So, it's an odd line being used by Dale Talon there. The Florida Panthers have gone through 15 coaches. 15. A list that includes Roger Neilson. And yeah, I remember that. I remember Roger Neilson being fired and remember thinking, really? He's a pretty good guy. He's a good coach. Why are they firing Roger Neilson? They bring in Doug MacLean. Doug MacLean leads them to a Stanley Cup final. And yet he didn't last much longer after that either. For we're moving on. And then, and of course he moved on and he was general manager of Columbus. They've had Brian Murray temporarily behind the bench. Terry Murray, his brother, was behind the bench for 200 games. The longest that any coach has lasted in Florida, 3 years. 3. Of course, a couple years ago, it was 3 years ago now, they unceremoniously dumped Gerard Gallant after a game and he was left to catch a cab to get to the airport. Classy organization on that one, and that's why, the firing of Bob Boughner, while I'm not a huge fan of the move, it kind of works with Florida. I don't think Bob was the problem. I understand that they feel that they underachieved this year and they should have made the playoffs. I agree. As a pundit that thought they were a playoff team going into this year, I agree. I do not agree that the problem was behind the bench. I think the problem was goaltending and defense, because when the goaltending numbers were solid at any given point this year, their record was really good. The scoring is there. Barkov's become one of the best forwards in the league, bar none. Huberdeau, really good numbers from him this year. That line of the two of them and Dadonov, one of the best lines in hockey. And, honestly, Frankie Vetrano becomes a 20-goal scorer. All this happens under Boughner's watch. But now he's out. Bob Boughner's a good coach. I think he'll find another job. I think somebody will hire him. And I think he'll have decent amount of success. You can't expect him to go out on the ice and play. So I think it comes down to the roster that he was given. And when Dale Talon says we all share the responsibility in this, yeah, you all share responsibility, but it's the coach that got fired. So, Florida to me is a team that continues to kind of meander its way through. And I look at them and I say, you know what? they've been around for a few years longer than the Nashville Predators. They've had now they'll be hiring their 16th coach. The Nashville Predators have had two. Now, I understand that there's going to be people who say, yeah, no, Boughner had to go. But if your team is constantly hiring new coaches and you don't have that direction, it's a new voice behind the bench every year or every other year, it's kind of hard for players too. And so I feel bad for the guy. I think that it wasn't his fault. This is a firing that I kind of catches me off guard. I knew there would be firings the day after the season ended. This one kind of catches me off guard. So, yeah, by all means, it certainly seems like they're going to keep repeating this and ad nauseum. That's why I'm wearing the old Florida jersey, because it sort of feels like 1995 all over again. And I remember being confused by Roger Neilson being fired in 95. I could never understand why Roger Neilson was always getting fired. I thought he was a good coach too, and yet every time you turned around, he was getting fired. So yeah, I'd be interested to know what other people think. Florida fans, speak up. Tell me what you guys think. Was it Bob's fault? Was it not Bob's fault? How much responsibility does he get for this? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. And hey, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.